Baggies fans, we've just had the pre-Oxford press conference with Ryan Mason here at Albion's training ground ahead of tomorrow's clash between Albion and Oxford United at the Hawthorns. Excuse the beeping behind me, that's the gate at the training ground here, which seems to open and close every time I do these videos. So I can't wait for it to stay shut, otherwise I'll be here all day. Anyway, look, it's the end of a tough week for Albion, isn't it? We all know that. We know how Tuesday night fared down in London at Charlton, and how Albion and Mason's side succumbed to a 95th minute winner for the hosts. And clearly Ryan Mason, the head coach here, has come under a lot of pressure and scrutiny from supporters who have quickly had their patience worn by a lack of goals here, and obviously resulting in a lack of wins of late, certainly, that has seen Albion tumble down to a position in the table, 15th at the moment, that is, as Ryan Mason said himself, not acceptable. The results haven't been, by and large, and he cut a pretty downbeat figure on Tuesday night, but I will say here at this press conference, it's been an interesting and entertaining one today, really. He's sort of, amid all the pressure from the stands, certainly he's come out swinging, it feels, in a Ryan Mason way. Look, he's not the most sort of animated, sort of extrovert personality who's going to be waving arms around and banging fists on the desk and all that. That's not the personality he is. But in what he said, how he spoke, both myself and media colleagues here today felt that he carried himself well and spoke well, really, given the difficult circumstances. Look, obviously Oxford, a lowly visitor to the Hawthorns tomorrow. I think the U's are down in 21st in the Championship, as I say, with Albion in 15th. It's a game at home at the Hawthorns in the Championship against, no disrespect to Oxford, but a team that West Brom should be beating here, should be controlling, creating attacks against. It's a game that Albion will want to win to ease the situation, certainly, or will want to win at any time, but certainly in the context of a tough run, we'll need to win to ease that, that building pressure from the stands, certainly. I know supporters are clearly sort of struggling with going to games with much belief at the moment and thinking, this side is going to go and score 1, 2, 3 goals and down a team easily, but there'll still be that expectation, for Albion to come out on the right side of it tomorrow. Look, I was probably saying likewise a week ago ahead of Albion against Sheffield Wednesday, the bottom side in the Championship at the Hawthorns, and we know that finished with a stalemate, didn't we? A frustrating one. So times are difficult, but as I say, Mason has come out and really determined mood today, really sort of hammered home the point about how he believes, how he can take, the feeling in the building behind me, actually, within the four walls, within the training pitches, of a squad that still believe, that are determined to put it right. Look, we can debate till we're blue in the face, can't we, about what is in the squad here, what Albion have, but Mason spoke in defence of his defence, of the defensive record. There hasn't been enough clean sheets, have there? But he believes his side have defended well, by and large. He was asked all manner of things, really, which you'll be able to read on the Express and Star website soon. He was asked about whether he sees tomorrow's game as a must-win for him. Obviously in terms of his future, and that doesn't lie in the hands of supporters in the stands, does it? It's obviously the ownership here, Bilkle, and their reading of the situation. Now, look, none of us, we're not in the heads of the owners at the moment, and not in the four walls of their conversation rooms, but obviously they will be concerned about how the league table looks and have expected more and better by this stage, like Mason. Ryan Mason was asked about the ownership today and their view on it. What have they said to him, what they speak to him about. That's actually embargoed till Saturday morning, so you'll have to wait a little bit to read about that. But he did speak about it well to me, and just a little sort of hint and clue at what he said. He fought back a bit and said, look, go back to whenever Bilkle took over, 18 months, best part of 2 years ago, where Albion were and have come from, and look, that currently they're 15th in the table, and that's, no one thinks that's good enough, but that, I suppose Ryan Mason trying to offer a bit of perspective, a bit of context on things, I suppose with a nod to the summer and the good players he lost on the eve of the season because of the club situation, and it's sort of useful reminder every now and then, isn't it, to the players that went, have they been replaced by ones as good? On the evidence so far, we can think not, can't we? But that's that. So a lot of interesting stuff from the head coach to read. Look, I know the situation is tough at the moment. Fans are rightly, understatement really, to say the least, concerned and expectant on a turnaround. And it will be fascinating to see the outcome tomorrow. How it goes will obviously result to the mood in the stands. He spoke about that as well, trying to translate good feeling around the place to lift the fans a bit. He's sort of saying, it only takes a goal, a deflected goal, one swing for things to turn, then a second goal to arrive, and the situation's different. And look, that is the case. We know that is the case in football, but it's up to Albion, Ryan Mason and the players to show that. If it doesn't go the other way, and the mood won't be good at the Hawthorns tomorrow, you don't need me to say that. It will be pretty toxic, it'll be foul, and it'll be interesting to see how the response is after that as we head into an international break, as we know as well. I'll finish just quickly with a bit of team news, because there is some team news from today, some handy team news as well. Jason Malumbi's trained his first training session since a muscle issue when called up to Ireland last time in October. He's been called up to Ireland again for the forthcoming internationals this month, but he may be able to feature against Oxford tomorrow, probably from the bench if so, but he has trained. That's good news. Toby Collier has also trained, I believe. Light training session it was. Less confident about his involvement, but at least he's heading forward in the right direction. So decent news on the midfield pair. We've had Tamer Bani called up for international duty as well, first time with Jordan, so obviously he'll hopefully get some important minutes. Other injury news in terms of availability, Jed Wallace, club captain, and George Campbell are both still out. They're not in contention for tomorrow. They haven't trained yet. Maybe they will over the fortnight's break. We'll see. But yeah, that's your lot. Sorry, it was a long presser. I can't be too specific about exactly everything that Ryan Mason has said. There'll be a lot for you to read online, so make sure you do that. And a lot on tomorrow. Ryan Mason says he doesn't read the game as a must-win for him and his future. As I say, he came out battling today, he came out swinging, spoke with a lot of determination about his position and how he sees things, and the positivity and belief still in this building. So let's see. Obviously, only things on the pitch will back that up, and we'll be there for the game tomorrow. So follow as usual, expressionstar.com.